Good afternoon, everybody, and I hope that you are well, or good morning, or good evening, or good night, as I know it is in some of your cases. Welcome to another Friday, week 38. I can't believe how we're just flying through the year now. It always seems weird as like the nights start drawing in and things like that. The year seems to go quicker, so some of us were heading in for autumn, some of you are now going towards spring, so it's a lovely changeover, but here we go again. So this week what we're going to do, we're going to look at raw edge reverse applique and do a little applique to go on our tag. So as usual, we need to start auditioning. You're going to probably need a hoop today and a selection of fabrics, probably 5 different fabrics. I chose my first fabric, which is this little bit of, I think it's a Sanderson's fabric, and I've used this as the inspiration for my colours. So I've got some with a big print on, I've got a little bit of linen, and then I've just got some cottons with some slightly smaller patterns on, and then a piece of furnishing fabric. I think this is, I'm not sure what make it is. It's quite a sturdy fabric, but I got it mainly because I wanted the pinks. You want a little bit of some bits of contrast. There's some bits that are plain, some bits that are a little bit patterned, and what we're going to do is we're going to layer all 5 of them up in our hoop. So here we go. So I'm going to have to open my hoop up quite a bit so that I can get, I'm hoping I can get all this in. I'm not sure whether or not that other one might be a bit thick, but we shall see. Now what you need to think of when you do reverse applique, what we're going to do is we're going to have a fabric on the top and we're going to cut into it. So you're going to start revealing the fabrics underneath. So you need to decide what fabric you want on the bottom. So I'm going to go for the darker pink on the bottom, and then just think about which bits you want on the next layers. Now obviously I don't need all this fabric, so just chop some corners out. So this is when fabric that you've got like in your fat quarters and stuff, slightly thinner cottons are quite nice for this. You don't want anything too thick, which I'm a little bit worried that my Sandersons might be a little bit too thick. So there's layer number 2. Layer number 3. Sorry, brain just froze then. Okay, so I've got another lovely bit of fabric. Now I've no idea if this one this week is going to work at all. No idea. This is another one that I've had in my mind for a while, thinking that it will work. The principles of how it's going to work I've got going in my head, but you never know. You might never see this recording. You never know. I might actually end up deleting one and then doing something else. I've got a bit of pink. There we go. And then my bit of Sanderson's on the top. Wow, that's a sandwich and a half. Now the question is my hoop, is that gonna go? It doesn't matter if it doesn't, but it might make my life a little bit easier if it does. I don't think it's gonna go. Try and doing that a little bit more. Push it right to the brink. No, it's not gonna go. Right, so I'm gonna do this then without my hoop. I probably could try it in a bigger hoop, but I've got to cut my fabric now, so no worries. Like we say, always everything changes, it's fine. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to pin all my layers together. Usually I sometimes find as well when things don't go to plan, it actually works better than the plan. You never know. So I think I've got some pins ready. So going through all 4 layers. Actually, it might be easier not having it in a hoop because you can just move it around a little bit more. I hope this works. Love doing reverse applique and applique. It's just such a nice way of working. We're going to do raw edge mainly because it's such a small piece that we're doing. I don't need, well, I just haven't got time to be doing all the turned in edges. But if you want to spend time doing each of the layers separately and turning them in and then layering them up, that's totally up to you. I'm just going to go for my raw edges, so just make sure I've got all 5 bits going right the way to the edge. Fabuloso. Right then, so I've got my tag. There we go. Now I'm going to draw on with a pencil, and I've done my thing that I always do, where I think I'm all set up, and then I discover that I am not. Pencil, there we are. Could do with a pencil sharpener. I've got a knife. Just sharpen that. You could use a fabric pen, pencil for this. I'm just going to use my pencil mainly because I think my my vanishing pens are out in my shed. Right, so to move a couple of those pins just out a little bit more so I can get that in. I don't want that side. Now we'll go with what I planned. Right, okay. Right. So if you want to work in a hoop, work in a hoop. If you don't, it's perfectly fine. You can just have a go at doing it straight away like this. There we go. I've got my tag area. So what I'm actually going to do to start off with is just using, I've just got a neutral thread. I've pulled out threads. I've gone perlé with my threads. So again, I've just pulled out some that matched my fabric that I had. I've just got my neutral thread, and what I'm going to do is just inside my tag line, I'm just going to do quite a big running stitch. This is just going to hold it all together and just stabilize it. So I'm doing quite a big stitch. You will have the option then at the end of taking this out. You could do it with the machine thread if you wanted to. I'm just using my perlé. I usually find that when I do these sorts of stitches anyway, I usually end up leaving them in. Come on, there you go. That's it. There we go. Now, I hope everybody's well this week. I know that everybody, put a couple of pins on the inside of there, I think. Everybody's been on, well, I think actually over the past couple of months, I've sort of lost track on who's in lockdown, who's not in lockdown, who can do what, who can go where. Is life normal? Isn't it normal? It's to get to a bit now where you just think, do you know what, I can't wait. Or when is it actually going to be that we don't actually talk about this anymore? I just suppose heading into winter, this is going to be the first test of what happens next, I suppose. Oh gosh, doesn't bear thinking about. Right, we won't talk about it. whole point about this is so that we can forget. There we go. I'm really enjoying these. You probably noticed. Part of me just thinks, oh, what we're going to do next. I've got a few ideas. If you've donated me or bought me a coffee, so to speak, thank you very much. It's just a, I don't know, very cheeky way of just asking for a bit of a contribution. These videos don't have to take quite a while to do. I love doing them though, and I think that's why, or what prompted me, I suppose, to set up the Ko-fi page. It's because I'd like to carry on doing it, but it is a business as well, so I just thought donations were better than saying to everybody, oh, you've now got to pay, because I don't really want our community to disappear. So if you want to do a donation, there'll be a link at the end of the video. I love how they call it, buy me a cup of coffee. Just means that every donation hopefully means I'll be able to do this a bit more often. You never know. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that right now. So I've done a running stitch all around just the inside of my tag shape, and we're going to then stitch a shape on which could be inspired by anything at all, and we're going to cut through to reveal the layers of fabric underneath. So you're going to need a little sharp pair of scissors. I usually end up going through about 6 or 7 different pairs until I can find the right pair. So here we go. So I thought I might do something, it's a little bit like it's based on a circle, and then I'm just going to cut some shapes out in and amongst. So all I'm going to do is draw myself an oval shape. Could do with one of my blooming pens, but I don't know what I've done with them. Hopefully you can see I'm just doodling on here. And then what we need to do is start drawing some shapes. So I'm going to split mine up. There's a Macintosh rose that's a little bit like that sort of shape. It's got really nice shapes that sort of like simplify flower down. But like I say, you could do absolutely anything you want. So I'm going to take a little bit of inspiration from that. So what we do is decide on your shape. So that's my first shape that I'm going to do there. Get a thread. You don't want your shapes to be too small, because that is just going to make your life really, really difficult. Finding a needle. There we go. Started stitching and you couldn't see my desk because the light was shining through, which means then I have to close the blinds, which means then I am blind. I can't see what's going on. That needle's not playing. I don't know. Just find I have favourite needles that I like. So with this one, I don't want my needle to be too long or too thick. Try that one. And what we're going to do is stitch around. Now you can either do a back stitch or a running stitch, but keep your stitches quite small and close together. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to do a little running stitch. Now what you need to make sure is that you're definitely going through all the layers, and my next stitch needs to be, if I'm doing a running stitch, fairly close to the one that I've just done. Okay. I've chosen a needle that's nice, but I forgot to have a look, and it's a little bit blunt on the ends. I don't know what I've done with all my needles. I think what's happening is I keep doing projects, so I keep collecting together bits of equipment and stuff and sticking it all in boxes, and then I chuck some needles in, and then I can't find anything. Okay. Right. So you could do any shape you want. They could all be individual shapes. It could be a little picture. What's going to be really important though is once we start cutting out the shapes, we're going to attempt to get them out in one piece, and then we're going to keep those pieces really safe because we're going to use them in next week's tag. So we're doing, so first time ever, I'm giving you a bit of a heads up. So we're doing reverse applique this week, and then next week we'll be looking at applique. Just thought it'd be quite nice to have two tags that sort of linked together, which I don't normally do. We've normally all been very, very different, but I just thought it'd be quite nice. Well, they won't look this, so we're not going to do it where we've done reverse applique this week and then next week it's just exactly the same tag. We're just going to use the shapes. Getting tangled up here. Just use the shapes. Right, here we go. It's not the quickest of things to do, but it is worth spending that bit of time just getting your stitches nice and neat. Try and get those stitches really, really regular. I hope this one works. In my head it should work, but this is the easy bit. The tricky bit is going to be the next bit when we come to cutting it out. But reverse applique is so pretty. You just start revealing little bits of the underneath colours. So you're always hopeful. Ooh, ow. You're always hopeful that you've made a good selection. It's quite a good idea for your underneath layers to have slightly smaller patterns, because you're going to be cutting it away. It is quite nice to be able to see little bits of pattern, whereas if you choose something that's got a lot really big patterns, you sort of can lose the effect, not the technique, the effect. I think this is one that I'm going to wish that I had done. Here's one I did earlier. But if I get everybody going with this technique, at least then if I've shown you what to do, you're not just going to have to sit there for ages watching me stitch very slowly. What I might do is I might do the next bit and record it separately, and then I think when I put it together on a video, I think I can speed it up. I shall give it a go. So I won't be with that bit then, I'll not be doing any explaining, it will just be me stitching. So what I've done, you can sort of see on the back there the little stitches that I've done all the way around. Is it going to focus? Yep, so you can sort of see I've stitched that bit. Okay, so tie it off on the back, just do a little stitch, run it through, there we go. Right, now comes the tricky bit. So what I've got to do now for reverse applique is I've got to try and remove now this inside shape. So little pair of scissors, a little point on the end, and you want to just get your scissors and just try and go through that first layer. I've got the little stalks that got slightly longer. Better. Right, so let's peek through. No idea how many layers I've gone through there. There we go. That's it, yep, so I'm just going to go then just near, careful not to cut through the stitches that I've done, and you're going as near to your stitching as you dare. These little scissors actually are ideal. Got a little nose on them, so you can just sort of poke it. If you turn your scissors sideways and move it that way, your fabric, you can sort of feel that you've got through. Okay, so if I lift that up, then we're revealing that colour underneath. So actually, it probably was a good idea that I couldn't get it in my hoop. What you can do though is if you have got it in a hoop, you can do all the stitching first and then cut it out when you get it out the hoop. So there's our first little piece that's come out. So this bit here, I need to keep that safe. So I've got my little tin, so I'm going to pop that in there. Okay, so that's our first one that we've cut out. So what I'll do next is I'll draw the other shapes and I'll stitch those as well and just slowly reveal our piece. Then when you've done it, any bits that are left you can do cut throughs or you can stitch onto the surface. But what I'm going to have a go at doing is I'll draw the rest of it out, cut them out and film it. Hopefully the next bit you'll see is a speeded up version of me doing this. If not, you'll see photographs. So hopefully everybody will enjoy our reverse applique. Remember to keep your bits, you're going to need those for next week. And I look forward to seeing the beautiful shapes and patterns that everybody comes up with. I will see you later. Happy stitching, love and hugs from me.